We'll call to order the committee of the whole meeting. Do we have anybody signed up for public comments related to the agenda items? You got that? Okay.
And
Okay.
we gotta use the paper.
Okay. All right, Mr. Anthony Bryant, if you would please come up, and then the other items we have are not related to agenda items, but you'll be welcome to comment at another point in the meeting. It should come up about 5 items down the road. Go ahead, Mr. Bryant.
Point of order. I was at the last meeting on March 18th.
Yes, sir.
And so we signed up to actually speak for 2 minutes. We waited. A point of personal privilege was called by the chair. There was no additional notice given to those who did sign up to speak. We waited like 3 hours, 4 hours.
I apologize, sir.
And so at the end of the day,
But please go ahead.
at the end of the day, I would like to make a request to the chairman for additional minute so I can leave.
Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I got a letter from Scott Harris of the United States Supreme Court in terms of my position with the state of South Carolina. You had on the record the budget of federal program and activity. Now, under Title VI, this blue brochure handles patterns here. So any student should get a copy of this brochure to be given when you do this new policy in terms of interrogation. Your vendors, many of your vendors receive federal financial assistance who handle interrogations under Tyson Tibbs' Supreme Court decision. It dealt with the Eighth Amendment violations. So you want to ensure that you understand that. And the First Amendment should be upheld as well in terms of free speech, and also the issue of religion. You have some unpopular religious beliefs, you have popular religious beliefs, so you don't believe religion, have any beliefs at all regarding religion. So in terms of those unpopular voices can be actually targeted by this policy that I'm deeply concerned about. Third, we want to talk in terms of housing. We've got an issue regarding the public comment for HUD right now that Dr. Potts will be looking into, but 50% of the people in this area pay all their money toward their housing. So the issue in terms of housing is vitally important. The flood water issue is important in terms of the impacts of flooding on our young people and their families, and that costs burden to them as well. There are external forces, direct lobbyists, grassroots lobbyists that influence the General Assembly and influence this body. We hope that they understand clearly that this is a very expensive place to live now. It's extremely expensive on every level. So what we need to do is focus on those other vendors, those institutions, those banks, everybody who benefits from this body, $500,000 is consultants or whatever, that they pay attention to the needs of these young people and their families. That's the problem with what's going on in Charleston County. We have a problem with economics here. It's expensive to live here. We're almost like Florida some kind of way. So can I get an additional minute?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I got you going right here.
Thank you. So we want to also talk about the TIF districts you're doing. Okay, a lot of developers have benefited from the TIF district. We want to ensure that Dr. Potts understands those developers, a lot of the property you have, you're selling property. Well, the General Assembly doesn't provide for you to give the money back to affordable housing. So we're asking these developers who are making a ton of money around here, who are not really being taxed at all under the Planning Enabling Act, which deals with growth and prosperity, and they're not paying their fair share back to the public in terms of providing enough units in the area in terms of housing. This is a critical question for the area. And I've been an advocate for this issue for many, many years, and serving on the Board of Zoning Appeal Charleston County for years in terms of variances and special exemptions given to people. And for example, Amazon's not paying $100 million back to the state of South Carolina. The Department of Commerce with incentives to Boeing and Volvo, they're not paying their taxes. So therefore, if they paid $100 million back to the state of South Carolina, we'd cover this budget on our own, absent of any leverage against the public at large. These are serious and critical questions of public officials. Ask the Department of Commerce, are you going to do anything in terms of getting these companies to give money back to these school districts? And this is important. And so you're actually the scapegoat in this
Mr.
process.
Bryant, if you would please wrap up your point on that, please, sir.
Well, respectfully, you're the scapegoats in this, okay? The school districts are the scapegoats in this problem. The Department of Commerce, the Governor's Office, and others do their part in terms of providing necessary funding for education. Thank you for your service and time.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. All right, the next item up is the mission critical report from the superintendent.
Yes, sir, and we are a little off schedule. We have some guests in the audience, so I would like to ask the board to move that item to the end of the meeting, and let's move on to the board meeting dates. If the board, I would ask you to ask the board to consider approving next year's board meeting dates on first reading so that we could bring them to April 22nd and then move on to strategic education so that the guests who are here to present are not so badly off.
Here,
Move to approve, how we do that? So move to approve item 4B, the proposed list of CCSD board meetings for 2019-20.
second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
All right.
Aye.